microphone fixed. There we go. That's better. All right. Threw this together real quick. Hopefully everybody can hear me fine. And if you can, give a thumbs up to the in the chat for me to let me know that the sound is working good. Let me get everything organized here, and we'll get the show on the road. Hello, cheeky feet. And bear with me one moment. I was watching a show with my wife out in the living room and didn't realize I had about 3 minutes before the stream started to get everything all hooked up. So it'll be just a moment here, and we will I will be more organized and on my other screen, so I can look at comments and do all that kind of stuff. So anywho, yeah, how is everybody's Sunday going? Everybody doing well, and you having an enjoyable afternoon? Hopefully you had a good lunch. If it's early, yes, I did get a haircut. After COVID and being sick for about 3 weeks, a little more, I needed to get a little trim. I also took the beard off. It's not wintertime anymore, so don't need the beard. And so I did all that. So yeah, hopefully your Sunday's going well. Go to church. Maybe you just woke up because you're hours behind me. Had your breakfast, all that kind of stuff. So we'll get the questions coming in here, and we'll see if I can answer them. We're not going to call this don't try to stump Dave Day, though. I would appreciate that. But if you do have questions, feel free to ask them, and I'll do the best that I can to answer them. Anything that is on your mind, within reason, of course. So, who will ask the first question? Let's see. You're in London. Don't do the church, but you've been relaxing. Hey, nothing wrong with relaxing. That's good to have when you don't have to work. Give yourself a little bit of space and a little bit of just sitting back and enjoying life and taking it easy. You don't have to be on the run, on the go, nonstop. Haircuts make you feel better, cleaner, and smarter. I don't know about smarter. Cleaner, definitely. Showers do that too. Let's see here. You cheeky Fest went to a local shop to grab a few bites earlier. Back to work tomorrow. Awesome. I like supporting the locals. I go to a lot of local restaurants and cafes and stuff here in the area. When I do go out, I try to stay away from chains as much as possible. I want to support the locals. Let's see. Paul St. Amour asks, Mojo 2 or Bifrost? I've only heard the Bifrost and the original Mojo. Haven't heard the Mojo 2. I would definitely take a Bifrost over the original Mojo, unless you want to do portable. Obviously, Bifrost is not really capable of that. But as far as the overall sound of the original Mojo, I liked it, but it was rather warm sounding. Not bad for like a 9-to-go type of service source, but I wouldn't use it as a desktop. Los Lopez, good news. Looks like the next Zeos collab is going to be a Fio FD5 with his flavor. 1DD. That'll be interesting because the FD5 has some chops to it, and Fio is one of those brands that is kind of always done something to please, but hasn't really done anything to like stand out. So maybe this will be the step that'll kind of take them to get a little bit more notice on their IEM. So that'll be interesting to see what that iteration sounds like. Let's see. Cheeky, I'm trying to be patient before getting some arias in a month or two. I want them now. Oh yeah, patience is tough in the audio world. Look forward to hearing what you think of the arias. I like the arias a lot. Have a pair behind me. Let's see. You've got 2 weeks to holidays. Hey, vacation comes, so gotta be patient there. Hopefully, the arias will be there when you're on vacation on holiday. That'd be fun. Oh, so Cheeky says haircuts only make you smarter in looks, not in brains. Well, that's a bummer. Let's see. Thoughts on the Blessing 3? It looks interesting. They made a few tweaks to the overall sound of the Blessing 2. I would love to hear one. Haven't been offered one yet, so we'll see if one comes around. We'd love to hear it. But it does look interesting, like they added in a little bit of body, um, tamed it down just a little bit, so maybe it's not quite as bright and hot up top. Hopefully, they didn't lose any of the technical abilities because that was what set the original apart was the soundstage and the imaging and the preciseness that I had, and then the details and resolution. So hopefully, all of that remained and just added in what most of us said about the original Blessing 2 was that it was a little bit lacking in body and bass note. Let's see here. It was a small branch of one of the big supermarket chains. Ah, nothing wrong with that either. All right, let's see. Have I tried the FIO? Is that the FH1S or the FH15? I haven't heard of the FH15. FH1S reviewed years ago. One of the first IEMs that I reviewed on the channel. Haven't heard it in a long time, probably 2 years at least. I don't really remember much about it, to be honest. Let's see. Uh, you got 6 or 7 weeks of work left, then a week off, then another 6 or 7 weeks, and then summer break. Cool. Fun times. Let's see. Thoughts on the Blonde Z300? No idea. Um, haven't heard it, and I believe that's a true wireless. I'm not really into true wireless. I've pretty much given up on them. Let's see. Paul, trying to go on permanent holiday. Job position was eliminated. Looks like I can retire with my Army retirement pay with my disability. Wow, Paul, I'm sorry to hear that you lost your job, that it was eliminated. Hopefully, you can get everything all sorted out and get all that figured out. Um, at least you have something that you can fall back on, and hopefully, it'll be enough in the current economic ways of the world because it's not easy right now financially in a lot of ways. So hopefully, it all works out for you. Now I'm going to get asked, so I'm going to tell you today I am drinking coffee. I do have a little bit of creamer in it, um, but this is made by Common Ground. Is the roaster? I don't remember which roast though. Yes, I taint my coffee with just a little bit of creamer. Um, I've never really been able to drink it straight up. I can drink it black, depending on the roast, but I prefer it with just a little bit of cream. All right, let's see here. So it is the FIO FH15. Apparently, it's going to be about $200 euro. Excuse me. Um, interesting. I have not heard about that yet. I'm gonna have to look that up. That'll be interesting. Uh, where is Element 3? Um, I'm sorry, Element 3? Haven't heard of the Element 3 yet. That would be why the review hasn't come yet. Let's see. I beat you to the coffee question. Oh, sorry about that, Sock Hopsinger. But good afternoon to you as well. Thoughts on the Rinko from C Audio? I have not heard it yet. It supposedly is coming. It has not arrived yet. Sometimes these things take a long, long time to come across the ponds. So patience. I will let you know. I am planning on reviewing it whenever it arrives. Also have a Galileo coming in too, but again, it's somewhere in the box. Supposed to be coming with the Rinko. So patience, please, on those two. Excuse me, I got to get a Kleenex here. Allergies have been craziness this year. Um, the allergy battle is real this year for me. I don't normally struggle with that too much, but man, they've hit me strong this year. Let's see. Thick Vinyl. Hey, hi, Dave. Sorry for the random question, but what are your thoughts on artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence is very interesting. Now, this is going to be a this is going to be a weird response to that question. So just bear with me. So I watch a lot of sci-fi, right? And I've been watching sci-fi since I was a little kid. I love sci-fi movies, not only just Star Trek, Star Wars, and that type of thing, but I'm also more into some of the weirder stuff. Also, I like a lot of AI type of sci-fi, and so when I watch a movie, Terminator, Eagle Eye come to mind, um, the movie or AI, things like that. I start to, and then I see what's going on in the real world and how AI is starting to come in, and how they're like, oh, it's going to supplement, it's going to help, do this and that, and I'm going, all I can see is the end outcome that comes out in the movies, and I'm like really scared. So I have to kind of do a reality check. Now, AI, would I use it to write a script for a video, for a review? No. Why? Because it's not personal. It wouldn't even be me, even if the AI learns from me. So, like if I use AI. So, no, I would never use AI to write a script for a video because I want it to be personal. But for being able to do tasks at work, or being able to, for example, one of my jobs at my position is to help write standard operating procedures. I could tell the AI script writers to do a standard operating procedures based on whatever I'm doing, and then I can go in and edit and fill it, and it would help to build the steps and things like that. I don't have an issue with it there. As far as AI controlling households, I'm still a little scared about that. I don't like having all of my information being shared, publicly and being known, even if it is private and being saved on a server. I think the AI is there's still a little bit of security, a sense of insecurity there. That's what I'm looking for with it being smart houses, smart devices, and things like that. So I'm still a little skeptical on that. Um, I need to see it be a consistent thing in life where it doesn't leak and doesn't become known. AI being used by governments to be able to spy or be able to get information and control things, and be able to control your finances and being able to control other things in life, that's scary. And that's where the movie thought puts in skeptics into my brain. So AI is unique. I like the idea, and I think it's something that, you know, has been needed for a long time. But at the same time, it's like it can go too far. And there has to be a balance. And a lot of times when For me, I have noticed in my life at 47 years of life, when governments get involved and when other entities and powerful sources become involved on controlling things and dictating things, they don't usually keep it balanced. It normally teeters in the wrong way. And hopefully that doesn't happen. So, anyways, that's my long winded explanation and thoughts on AI. All right, so let's see here. What else we got? Um, JDS Labs Element 3 DAC amp. Ah, okay, yeah. I have not done much research on JDS Labs for a while. I like the originals. The Element was very cool. Had a very nice tone to it, nice and smooth, and a slight warmth to it. Good details and technical abilities. So I'm curious to see what JDS Labs has come up with on the third version. Um, Allergies by Paul Simon is a great song. That's true. Very fitting, actually. um, let's see what else we got. I like Paul Simon. I actually, this week, is really weird that you mentioned Paul Simon. For some reason, I have listened to a lot of Paul Simon and a lot of Simon and Garfunkel. I don't know why. Normally, they're not something that I really pay attention to a lot in my playlist. I'll just kind of, listen to it and go on to the next song. I don't really hone in. But for some reason, this week, I was really digging them. Um, let's see. Have you tried the Tantrum Zero? No, I have not. That is one that I haven't been able to. I heard the Tanya, but I didn't hear the Zero. Saw another one that came. I think there's a. Is it the Tanya got the DSP version? That might be interesting too to see how that one plays out. Because the Tanya is a bassy boy. If they can kind of tone it down a little bit, it might be interesting. Um, what grottos have you tried? I know many people have a love hate relationship with this brand, but your thoughts? Okay, so Stop Hack Singer 325 E 325. Yeah, I think it was the E. I actually did a review many moons ago. My brother-in-law owns them. Very interesting headphone. Good for like certain genres, not so good for others. Very open sounding. Have a little bit of warmth on the bottom end, rolled off sub bass. Good with vocals, a little bit bright up top. It can be a little intense listening. But overall, the 325 is probably one of my favorite grottos. I've also heard the SR80. Now, the SR80 is actually really good and about 80% of what the 325 is. And it's wood versus metals. It depends on what you want as far as looks and stuff like that. Um, the let's see, I heard IEMs, but I don't remember the model. They were bullet style. Those were pretty good. They had nice vocals, a little bit tipped on the top end, kind of like grotto sound, though. They had a little bit of tinginess up top. I don't remember the bass on those. I heard those at Audio Show. The RS1 and the RS2 I liked a lot. I think it was the RS1 I liked a little bit better. RS2 was a little more bassy. I could be flipping those miles around. It's been a while since I heard those. And then I heard the super expensive ones. They're metal GS 1000, GS 2000, something like that. Freaky expensive. They're like $2,000. Those were pretty good. As far as other grottos, I probably heard them at audio shows, but I just don't recall them all. Those are the kind of ones that stand out. But the RS1 or RS2, whichever one is not as bassy, that would be the one I would probably go with when it came with for grotto. Um, let's see. Stop Pop Singer, AI is going to completely destroy so many people's jobs, but that is just my opinion, and this is probably not the place to get into it. Yeah, I mean, there is that risk, but also at the same time, I think it's going to open up other jobs. Um, and if you look at it, you go back 20, 30 years back in the automotive world, back when laptops really started becoming a thing in computers, robots started coming out and started replacing some of the menial jobs. And I think AI is going to do that in certain fields. It's going to start taking over certain areas, but yet there's always going to be a human element here on Earth. And you're never going to completely eliminate the humans unless we start dropping atomic bombs on each other. So you're always going to have a human element in the job force. It's just gonna change, and you're going to see a new jobs and new types of jobs open up, and the AI is going to do the other stuff. I mean, we already have carpet cleaner AI robots running around in people's houses, but yeah, at the same time, those little robots can't get every single speck of dust in your house because they have limits, and so you still need to have someone and a human yourself, in your house, go and get those little corners and nooks and crannies that that little robot can't get to. So there's always going to be a human element. But I totally understand your concern. Let's see. Cheeky, I don't like AI. Hey, you know what? I'm with you. And for a lot of ways, I don't like AI either. I do think that it has its pluses, as I said, but you have to keep it balanced. You can't just go, oh, here you go, take over the world, send up those missiles, take over everything. I mean, Eagle Eyes was a pretty scary movie if you really think about it, what that computer was able to do and grow over the time. All right, let's see here. Thick Vinyl, you're welcome. You have the same concerns. Let's see. Cheeky, I saw Simon Garfunkel in London, Hyde Park, about 20 years ago. That would have been cool. I think they did a release at Hyde Park, wasn't it? Was it Simon Garfunkel did a recording of Hyde Park? Could have been the Who. Uh, um, one of them did. Whoops, I'm sorry. Getting excited. Simon Garfunkel making me happy here. Um, but yeah, one of them did a recording of Hyde Park. It might have been Simon Garfunkel. Could have been Paul Simon himself. All right, so let's see here. Um, okay, so Quantum Creator, you're getting a Dava Pro. I don't own the desktop setup. Dongles, XCAN, NX7. Yeah, I think I saw your comment. I wasn't able to respond at the time I was at church. Um, Dava Pro, if you use it Bluetooth with those with your phone or anything like that, it would be fine. It's I don't remember if it's super hard to drive or not. Now the NX7 should be able to push it. That's a pretty powerful portable amp. You shouldn't have a problem. XCAN should be able to power it as well. Plus you'll be able to do Bluetooth. It does sound better. Any of the Davas, the Dava Pro, the Dava, um, both sound better wired in my opinion, but they're not bad. They're probably one of the better sounding Bluetooths available across the board when it comes to headphones, especially considering that they're open back. So you should be okay on that. I don't think you'll have to really invest. If it sounds dull and really boring and flat, you might want to consider getting a desktop setup. But the NX7 should do pretty well with it. Uh, are you all over after COVID? Yeah, I'm doing a lot better. COVID's gone. This is just allergies. Um, a little bit of sniffles in the head, a little bit of a dry cough every now and then. Ears are fine. Have no problems with the ears, and the throat's a lot better. It's just drainage, and don't go outside. And my eyes get the burning, watering gooiness in them every now and then. But for the most part, yeah, I'm done. I'm done with COVID. No worries there. Now, my wife, on the other hand, she had COVID, got over it, and now she's struggling with bronchitis. She has a deeper voice than I do, and normally that's not the case. She's an alto, so yeah, she's under the weather. All right, let's see. Quantum, yes, agree. Let go and trust God. That's absolutely right. Have I tried the Tin Hi-Fi C2? It was either C2 or C3 that I reviewed. Give me a second. I'll be able to tell you. I don't remember which one it was. Tier. If you ever have any questions regarding what gear I have reviewed, there's a tier list that's in every video, and I will drop a link right now into the chat. And if it has a grade on it, it means I've reviewed it. Um, so let me go back over here. Drop this in the chat for you. Boom. All right. So there you are. It's a Google Doc. and you'll have access as a viewer to be able to see whatever gear. And to answer your question, and you can sort them all by manufacturer, price, however you want to sort it, driver configurations, and there's always a link to the video, to the review, to the video. If it wasn't a video review, there will be a link to the written review. But the Tin Hi-Fi was. So Tin Hi-Fi. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, I heard the C3. I have not heard the C2. So sorry about that. Old man brain here. Wasn't able to remember which one it was. Speaking of my tier list, if you haven't gone over there recently, I have changed a few things, especially on the IEM page. I have put in driver configuration so you can figure out whether or not it's a planar, one dynamic, one BA, one dynamic, 20 BAs, whatever it is. I do have it down there so you can sort through that. I also have links to all the video reviews. So if you are like, oh, he reviewed, I didn't know that, you can just click on it and it'll take you immediately to YouTube. I've also um, all of the tabs have the review. I have not put in the driver configurations on all of the pages yet, and also amplifiers. I haven't done whether it's R2R or solid state or Class A. I haven't done that type of stuff yet. Um, I'm working on it. It takes a long time to build all those up. But just a quick reminder, because I've gotten some questions and comments from people. When you go to my tier list, make sure you read the ranking grade tab. I do things completely different than anybody else. So the ranking grade is based on the whole entire experience from the moment I open the box to the moment I do the review. How's it built? How does it feel? Do I enjoy it just overall? And how does it sound? And anything else in between. Did I have change pads? Did I have to do this? Did I have to do that? Whatever is all built into the grade. So it could sound like $1 million, but it could be built like a $1 headphone. And the grade will reflect that. So the grade isn't just based on the sonics of the headphone, it's based on the entire experience. So make sure you understand that. And then on top of that, I don't grade it as everybody else with S tier and A being next below it and all that type of stuff. No, mine's totally different. So A is awful, B is bad, C means it's a contender, D means it's delicious, and E means it's excellent. So just make sure you understand kind of my ranking grade. It's just different. I'm different, and so I built mine different, just to do something different. So, anyways, tier list. That's how that works. All right, back to the questions. All right, let's see here. Everly Brothers were the supporting. Wow, that'd be cool. So yeah, Everly Brothers and Simon and Garfunkel. That would have been quite the night. Um, let's see. Oh, you're just gonna ignore Blade Runner? No, you know what? Actually, that's a good point. Blade Runner was a very good sci-fi movie too. So, in fact, both of them are the original and the remake are very good. Dune, I love also, by the way. But yeah, you have there's all kinds of sci-fi movies out there that I just absolutely love. Um, how are you doing? I hope your health is better now. Yep, everything's good except for the allergies. Doing well, thank you. And let's see. Depper, hey Dave, been a while. Hope you're doing well. After all this time, you got yourself an HD 660S. What are your opinions on it now, on its sound? I still like the 660S. I do think it is the I think it is the best of the 600, 700 series. I would definitely take it over a 700. Of course, it does have the same drivers as a 700. It's different than a 600 and a 656 XX, but I would actually pick up the 660S over those. But I still like all of them. I don't really have any complaints when it comes to a 600 series or a 700 series. Um, so yeah, I like them a lot. All right, let's see. What else we got going on here? Chef Steve. Hey, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Got a K-Bear Rosefinch coming soon. Some say it's a bass monster. Getting back into some bass heavy music, so we'll see how it performs. Interesting. Haven't I haven't heard of the Rosefinch, so it's supposed to be bassy. There's been some quite the bassy IEMs coming out lately, with different technologies in it. There's been some planar bases, there's been some dual dynamics, and some hybrids that have been coming out. So it's interesting that the bassy side is coming out. Guess I'll have to get used to some bassy music. um, excuse me. All right, let's see what else is going on. Do I have a favorite IEM for bass? I do actually have a couple of unique ones. I actually like to try Meteor quite a bit for around $100. Um, Another one that's kind of unique for bass, more in the studio side of things, would be the CTM CE 110s. Those things really can drive home for a single dynamic. Um, and they're a little bit more on the studio monitor side for drummers and bassists. And that makes it a really interesting experience. So those are a couple, but for like the overall pleasurable type of listen and bass in the budget realm, it would be the Trimeteor probably. Let's see here. Recently purchased a Cell Notes Zero, and of course watched tons of reviews before buying. You were the only one to complain about the fit and comfort. Now I wish I had taken you more seriously. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I mean um the Zero has a very weird fit. It's like an odd shape, and the angle's odd, and then the nozzle's kind of short. It's just kind of a weird, like it's not like the worst thing ever, but it just fits strange. It's just kind of it's for everything else that it does well. The fit is just unique. Let's see here. It's an awful planar. Hold on, what are we talking about here? Stop singer. I'm sorry, I lost you. Uh, let's see. I'm sorry, stop singer. I'm not sure what you're referring to here. When you say it's an awful planar, maybe there should be a PF category for planar fascia, planar fascia. Oh, if I'm okay, so you're talking about my tier list. If it's a bad plan, I got you. Plantar fasciitis for. I got you. I got you. I understand. All right, let's see. Um, Depper, believe it or not, I demoed the 800S and ended up with the 660S. I'm not surprised. It kind of depends on music preference and also on which way you like technicalities being presented. The 800S is very good in a lot of ways. It does two things for me that I don't like, which is the reason why I don't own an 800S. I actually own the drop version, the 8XX. Number one is the soundstage is not natural. It's a little bit too wide and too stretched, and it forces everything that way. No matter what music is being played, no matter what you're listening to, it always stretches things to an unrealistic way. That just doesn't sound natural to me in the stage. And then the other thing that it does is it force feeds the details and resolution, and it becomes intense. And those are the two things that push me away from the 800 and put me to the 8XX. When I listened to the 8XX, it did more. It added in a little bit of bass, and it tamed down the presentation, yet kept the details and resolution. They just weren't as intense. And then because it had a little bit more body weight added in, it kind of shrunk the stage and brought it to more natural sound. That's just my take. Let's see. Speaking of Blade Runner and Dune, do you have an opinion on a set of IEMs that would be good for watching movies? Pretty much anything. I don't really have any particular IEM. I don't sit and watch movies with IEMs in or headphones. I tend to like listening to them on speaker. But if I were to do that, pretty much anything that has a little bit more of a close soundstage, I find that if it's really wide, I get lost in what I'm watching. Even if it's a more realistic. So I kind of like a more intimate sound. Kind of like I do when I'm gaming. I don't like a super wide open headphone or IEM when gaming. I prefer it to be a little bit small, not like intimate, but a little bit smaller than that. So something average. But it has to have good depth, and it has to be able to layer things well. Depending on price point, that's a good question. Moondrop Katos are actually really good for that because of the way that they do their layering and their imaging with a sound today that's more natural sounding. The Zen's top actually is really fun for gaming because it has a little bit more bottom end, a little bit bombastic. So if you want a little bit of rumble and grumble, Zen's top does really good. If you want something that's just a little bit more level and even keeled, the Mangard T2 does a really good job in that way. Um, so yeah, I guess those would be my picks for watching movies and gaming. All right, let's see. What are the top five IEMs that I have heard? Well, if you go over to the tier list that I was mentioning just a little while ago, we can tell you that. So if you go there and you go up to the top and you go to tier list and you sort it and you go to E, you would have such devices as the CTM DaVinci 10, the Zen's Mangard Top, the 10 Hi-Fi P1 Max. Actually, that one's actually really good for watching movies too. Um, you have the Thea Audio Oracle 2, Moondrop Kato, JQ4U Pro. Take your pick of any of those. Um, and you would have a top five list of IEMs. Good question. All right, let's see what else we got. Can't wait for the Blessing 3 impressions. I can't either. I really want to hear it. Somebody can send one to me. That'd be awesome. How much of an upgrade is the LCDX over the LCD2 closed? I like a bassy signature, so kind of confused. The LCDX is open, so you get a little bit more of a wider stage, a little bit better of just a naturalism when it comes to that. As far as bass, LCD2 closed has a heavier hitting bass. Um, the LCDX has a little bit more forward mids and are going to be a little bit more intense in their presentation when it comes to detail, retrieval, and resolution. LCD2 close is just a little bit more tame in that area, and a little bit more, in my opinion, the LCD2 close is actually a little bit more balanced and cohesive, whereas the LCDX leans a little bit more neutral and a little bit more analytical. If you're looking for bassiness, I would probably go with the closed. Let's see, Quantum Odyssey is coming out with the budget MM100s. Yeah, I actually saw those. I have a friend that went to Oxpona Intuit Reviews. I asked him for his opinion on the MM100, and they are curious. I'm going to see if I should pre order one or not. He seemed to like them. Did say that they're a little bit on the bright side, um, which would be interesting. So I think they may be like the smaller brother of the MM500. Um, Kind of an Odyssey LCD one, not quite as warm, a little bit more detailed. Um, be interesting to see. All right, so let's see. Do I have an alternative to the Let's Sure S12 as the fit was only achievable with the stock foams, which felt uncomfortable? Okay, well, Brando, that would be excuse me, that actually is understandable. The fit of the S12 is interesting. Now, as far as detail retrieval into elevated mids and bass, you're not really going to get that anywhere else in a planar. Um, as far as overall tonality, and the abilities. Timeless is probably going to be a weird fit for you as well, since you struggle with the S12. P1 Max is a little bit more natural and neutral sounding, and doesn't quite have the forwardness. Um, hmm. You could go Heyday. It's going to be more bassy, not as forward, not as analytical sounding, but it'll fit better. If you want to stick with planar, those would be my suggestions. Let's see. 660Ss are like, in my opinion, the Kato. You drive them on the Zen stacked, so bass is no issue. That's probably a fair comparison with the 660 versus a Kato. A little bit different of presentation, but I can kind of see where you're going there with the natural and neutral type of leaning, with a enough sparkle and energy up top without being fatiguing, and slight bass roll off into sub bass. I can kind of see that. Let's see, Chef Steve. Hi, Dave. Not been around much. Just getting back into the hobby again after having heart attack. Oh man, sorry to hear that. I'm glad that you are recovering. Um, your son saved your life doing CPR for 45 minutes till 3 ambulances turned up. Wow, that's craziness. Well, I'm glad that you survived, and I'm thankful that your son was able to do that for you and save your life. That's craziness. That would be scary. Um, so you've been off from cooking and working, I assume. Neil, apologize for not clarifying. I meant the LCD2 Classic open back. Okay, so the differences between the Classic and the X are pretty significant. The Classic is way more bassy, and is not as detailed, but also is more laid back in its presentation. The the X is more neutral and is more analytical sounding. Still has good bass for an Odyssey, but it's not as heavy hitting and hard hitting as the classic. The class, if you're looking for the true planar bass and to really drive home, I would stick with the classic over the X. But if you want more details and resolution and a little bit more neutral type of sound signature with still some power and authority, the X. Any tube amps to recommend for the 660s? I like my Tor Audio Roger, which is right here, and a lot of people like the dark voice with it. I have not heard that pairing. There are also a couple other amplifiers that people enjoy, but I haven't experienced them. So I'm not really a tube amp person. Let's see. HC, I use the Timeless AE. A big fan of them. Wish more people tried them. Completely different than the original, in my opinion, a much better way. Interesting. I have not heard the AE. I actually haven't been able to get one in. I have heard that they are supposed to sound good and that they do sound different than the originals. I like the original. But from everything that I've heard, I probably like the AE too. So um, let's see. S12 sound wonderful, fit nice in my ears. Yeah, I have no problem with the fit. Hey, thank you very much, Quantum. I appreciate the $5 $4.99. Appreciate it, much appreciated. Um, it is to me the S12 is the best detailed and resolving planar that I've heard when it comes to an IEM. It is an acquired taste though for some. Some might not like it as much as it is a little bit forward and a little bit. What's the word that we're blunt? I guess would be one way to describe the S12. Is it is very forthright, and on the right source, it sounds insanely good. And then on and with the right music, it'll really drive. And the S12 is definitely a reference IEM type of sound signature that has amazing bass texture to it. it's a fantastic IEM in my opinion. Um, let's see. Do you think the final audio E4000 and 5000s are any good? I believe I reviewed the 4000. Let me look. Final. Yeah, I reviewed the A4000 and I didn't care for it. If you go to my tier list, you can see my review of it. I have it ranked as a B minus. All right, let's go back over here. Have not heard the 5000. Gayuda, among the affiliate links in your description, Apos audio link is broken. Just give me a heads up. Might be out of context or something. Okay. Cool. I will look into that and see if maybe something got messed up on the when I copied and pasted it in there. I'll look into that afterwards. Thank you for the heads up. Thank you for checking and thinking about using it if you were. By the way, there is a reason why affiliate links are at the bottom of my descriptions. I don't push them. If you want to use them, cool. But all of the links and videos and stuff are just straight up from like the website that I look it up at. So if I go to like let's say in like the last video I did the BASN MT Pro, I'll just do a Google search for BASN MT Pro, go to the BASN website, and pull up that product, and then copy the URL. If a manufacturer sends me a specific one, like BSN did afterwards, they were like, "Hey, can you put our Amazon link to it?" Sure, I'll put that link in. That's not an affiliate link. I'm not affiliated with Amazon at all. So all links that you see in the top of the description where it says purchase, or where in the videos, those are not affiliated at all. If you want to use an affiliate link, you have to go to the bottom of the description, go where it's affiliated link, highlight it, and go to that page and then do your own search for the product. I don't push affiliate links. All right, let's see here. You're welcome, Quantum. Thank you very much again. All right, let's see. Any good recommendations for entry level chi-fi? Friends are getting into the hobby. There's all kinds. It depends on what you would consider budget. We all have different price tags. But one of the quickest and easiest and best recommendations I can give somebody for getting into IEMs is a Tin Hi-Fi T2. If you want an introduction into what a natural and neutral sound signature sounds like, the T2. They're like $50. You can usually get them cheaper than that. And that's the best recommendation I can give you for anybody who wants to hear what a neutral and natural sound is. Tin Hi-Fi T2. Check out my tier list again and just sort it by price, and then find in your price range of whatever you consider budget would be the best way that I would do it. Just to see. All right, let's see here. Another good recommendation is the QKZ HBB. That's nice and bassy and a warmer sound. Might draw to a few people that might like that also type of sound signature. That's another good one. If you're looking for a more neutral, natural, and accurate sound, I'd go with T2. But if you're looking for something bassy, the HBB is a fun one. Let's see. X Duo TA26 is a good value tube amp. I've wanted to hear that one. In fact, I think I've asked for it to to be sent over a few times. I just can't get my hands on it yet. Would love to hear that one. I think isn't that one similar to like a smaller version and a cheaper version of the Dark Voice, if I'm thinking correctly. Is that correct, Chef? All right, let's see. There are a lot of good IEMs in the cheaper budgets. You also got like the Tanzu Wanir. That's a very solid little device. I haven't reviewed it yet, but that's a good like $25-$30 one that has a slightly fun but detailed type of sound with a little bit of an open type of sound signature. Lots of good things in the sub 100 market now. All right, let's see. Do I recommend a FIO K7? Well, if you can see it behind me, my microphone's in the way. It's right here. That's the next on the review schedule. So that'll be coming out on Tuesday. The FIO K7. I don't want to spoil the review. All right, let's see what else we got here. I just feel like you are here and helping people out a lot, and we are not giving back enough. Well, thank you. If you do want to give, there are ways that you can do super chat. You can donate through PayPal, Venmo. There's all kinds of ways that you can do that. If you want to donate, just hit the little dollar sign down where you go to put your comment, and you can donate if you want. I'm not going to beg and plead for one. It would be much appreciated, but I understand that not everybody can give. Having you all here doing a live stream with me and asking questions and interacting is quite rewarding. You would, it really is what I enjoy, is getting with people and just talking about audio and just having fun, having a good laugh, drinking coffee, and just chatting about what we enjoy. And I'm not doing YouTube, and I'm not doing the channel to become rich, and to become a millionaire and to own a to have my own mini store in my house. And I'm not selling gear to make money. I'm doing it to help you all get an honest opinion of a device that either I liked or didn't like for whatever reason, and to give you a personal experience as to my journey with it and why. That's it. I'm not out to make myself rich. If that happens, cool. Let's see. You're welcome, Sooth. Let's see. Final make average IEMs, but the best IEM E-type tip. Absolutely. All the final IEMs I've heard, very few, of only a couple, haven't really impressed me much, but I love their tips. I use them all the time on a lot of different IEMs, so totally agree. Let's see. Chef Steve says you need to upgrade the tubes in the XVO TA26. Costs about $60, but it's worth it. I find that a lot of stock tubes that come with a lot of the more budget, when I say budget, $500 and less tube amps, are kind of uninspiring. And I've had to change them out on the ones I have had in the past. So that's not surprising. The only one that I didn't change immediately was the Tor Audio Roger. I did wait several weeks before I was like, I wonder if this sounds different. And then I started experimenting with different tubes. But the other ones were kind of like instantaneous. Let's see. Is there any open back wireless headsets? Again, not really my territory. The open back wireless headsets that I would recommend would be the Hi-Fi Mandeva. I haven't really heard anything else other than that. Yes, you will be seeing the K7 review. It's a very interesting device. I will say that. $200 might be a good value. We'll see. 7 Hertz Zero is a good cheap IEM. That's true. It does have a weird fit though. You do have to be aware of that. Depper Dave is the reason I got the Kato and hooked, and he recommended the 660s many moons ago, and his recs have never missed on me. Well, thank you very much. Glad that you find my recommendations to be helpful and useful. Thank you very much. Okay, so the TA26 is the same size as the Dark Voice, but has better electronics. Well, that's good to know. The Dark Voice, from what I've heard, people say, is that it is a little bit cheaply made considering the price. So that's good. Um, Quantum 700 notes, a great IEM budget. Uh, Run it with the Cayenne RU6 and it sounds special. Hmm. I have yet to hear the Cayenne RU6. I need to get one of those in for at some point. Let's see. Also, it comes with the same tubes as a Dark Voice. Oh, yes, and everybody does say to change the tubes on Dark Voice, so that makes sense. Let's see. I sure missed the live streams until now. You look so much better and sound better too. Glad to see you. Thank you, Lori. Yeah, yeah, I've been getting better. Voice is definitely back. I don't have that scratchiness, and when you shave off all the gray beard, it kind of makes you look a little better. Plus, you get a haircut. Some people say I look smarter. I wish I could sound smarter. All right, let's see. Um, Amazon has Dava Pro for $215 open box. That's a good deal on Dava Pro. So if you can get over there on Amazon and get one of those open boxes, that'd be not a bad deal. Now, is that the? Did you say Dava Pro? Yeah, Dava Pro. Yeah, that's the one you want, Dava Pro. Neo says the K7 is the only desktop amp that he has, and it really brings out the best of the R70X out of the balanced output. Now, I have an R70X sitting right there. I'll let you know whether or not I agree. Let's see. Hey, folks, Rouge says. All right, so um, we can go for about another 15 to 30 minutes here or so, wrap up around 3:30ish. So keep the questions coming. Having a lot of fun today and a lot of enjoyment. Good questions. And appreciate everybody swinging by. So just to reiterate, this is coffee today, and it is by Common Ground, Common Voice, Common Ground, Common Ground. Um, and I don't remember which roast it is. I do apologize for that. Very good stuff, though. I like it. And I did add a little creamer. I know, don't drink it black. I've been spoiled through the years of using creamer just a little bit, just enough to kind of lighten the color of the coffee just a little bit. Every now and then I'll put a little bit of sweetener in, but for the most part, just a little bit of creamer. Uh, Thank you very much, Gulia. I appreciate that very much for the donation. It is much appreciated. Bright orange here. Let me see if I can read your question. Now that I know that we have a similar fit, my ear issues with the fit of the Salnote 7.0, I have purchased a Truthier Hexa. Currently waiting for it. Thanks. It also warms my heart to know that you're a fellow believer. Yes, absolutely. Um, I love the Lord. I love God, and I don't want to push that and change this live stream to a preaching fest, so I won't do that. But yes, know your God and believe in Him and trust Him. As far as the fit, I think you will find the Hexa fits better. It's got a little bit longer of a nozzle. It's a little bit smaller, so you shouldn't have too much of an issue there. I like the Hexa quite a bit. It's got really good vocals, as Ruse says. It does something special there. It's a little bit more neutral sounding than the Zero, but overall it has a little bit better natural tone. So I think you made a good decision. You'll like the Hexa. Um, all right, let's see. Any particular preference from where your beans come from? I love Colombian, and you don't prefer Brazilian. Not a whole lot. I don't mind Colombian. I do like some of the like Middle Eastern type of stuff. And also like uh, we'll just leave it there for a while. I don't really have a huge preference for that. There isn't anything that really stands out and that says don't get it from there. I'm not. I'm not super picky yet on where the beans are. I like getting them actually. Um, I get a lot of local stuff, so not like grown locally, but roasted locally. And also, I am in a coffee club, so I'll have to start paying attention. That's a good question. Tell you what, ask me that in a couple live streams, and maybe I'll have a better answer. Right now, I'm not picky enough for that. All right, let's see. Hibby has another dongle out. It's called the R6. They say it sounds better than the RU6, but lower power. Okay, interesting. So is it an R2R-ish type of sound? Like, isn't the RU6 from Cayenne, isn't that R2R? Um, the dongle thing is starting to get crazy. So for a while, you only had a couple brands making it, and now you're getting all of these different brands make, which I think is cool, and you're getting different top technologies inside it. And also you're getting better amplification chips, and I really like that because portable listening is exploding. Like almost everybody now seems to be listening more prominently in a portable sense. And they're starting, DAPs still have their place. And I think some people like me, I prefer listening on DAP because it disconnects me from my phone. But a lot of people like to be able to have the abilities to use their phone at the same time. And so these dongles are really becoming, they're like coming out super fast and they're getting better. So I'm very curious to see if we get to a spot where they start to sound all the same again, kind of like we got in a spot with some of the like especially like topping and SMSL DACs and amps. They all started sounding the same, even though this is an improvement. This is an improvement, and you weren't really hearing it. I wonder if dongles would get to that spot, or if dongles will start to kind of creep into the budget end of DACs, and it'll kind of force manufacturers to kind of change and take a step up so that they can make room for the competition, so to speak. Might be interesting. But dongles definitely are starting to flood the market, and I think it's a good thing because now you can really find a good preference sound or a reference sound for portable, which is something that we never used to be able to do. You had to use the crappy one that came with your phone, and it always sounded like junk. So, dongle competition is is a good thing in my opinion right now. Now it could flood this, overload the system, and then we have too much. But for right now, I'm very glad with it. Let's see. All right, good questions. Do I have any recommendations for a streamer? Not really. The only streamers that I have used, and I didn't really use it very well, was like the Matrix Element, which was like 3 grand. IFI Pro IDSD, which is 3 grand. Um, and I haven't really explored it. It's not really something I do. Um, so sorry, that's kind of out of my expertise. Let's see. Unless you're talking about streaming services like Tidal, Kobas, and things like that, I did a video on that, but haven't haven't. I think you're referring to a streamer like DAC Amp, Rune type of setup. All right, let's see. RU6 is sweet. I also recently got a Hibby R6 Mark III. Now, interesting. I almost got the R6 Mark III, but I wanted to be a little bit cheaper in my budget, so I went with the R5 Gen 2. I like Hibby a lot. They have made a lot of improvements on their UI, and Hibby Music has definitely improved. So if you are looking at depths and you were a little skeptical about Hibby before because there was some yeah, love hate when it came to their UI. Their UI has drastically improved since the last time I used it. I like the R5 Gen 2 quite a bit. All right, let's see. Thank you very much, Neo, for the gift. Much appreciated, and you're very welcome for the feedback. Let's see. Truth Air Ola has a better fit than the 7 hertz. Well, that's good to know, but sounds more mellow. Hmm. Yeah. I haven't heard the Ola yet. Unfortunately, sometimes when you get in that budget realm, sometimes they just kind of lack that naturalism. They lack the engagement, and they're all either about big bass or a lot of top end, and they don't do the balance and cohesion quite right, and then they'll be a little bit unbalanced, um, or they'll just kind of be a little boring and lack dynamics. Depper, you're gonna hold me to it. All right. I, I I hope it lives up to your expectations. All right, let's see here. Um, it's an R2R dongle. Yeah, that's what I thought. Oh, Hibby's is too. Wow. No, now I can get two. All right, let's see. FC5, FC6, something like that. I have the FC3 and FC4. Haven't heard the 5 or the 6. Those would be interesting. As I said, dongles are really coming out now, and they're starting to really make improvements. Like when I first started listening to dongles, when I started the channel 4 years ago, dongles all kind of sounded the same, and they were all very like metallic and kind of tinny sounding. And then you started to hear them get a little bit better and better, and now it's really starting to get to the point where you're different. It's harder to differentiate between lower end DAC amp desktops and some of the higher end dongles, and that's craziness. Like for several years, the premier dongle that was out there was like the Next Drive Spectra X, and nothing really could compete with it. And then over the last year and a half or so, all of a sudden it's like these other ones are doing a lot more than the Spectre X. Now, Spectre X is still very good, but it is being competed with things a lot cheaper than it. And it is interesting how the dongle world has exploded. And I'm sure it has to do with all the phone companies going, who needs earphone jacks? You don't need that. And at first we were like, yeah, we do. But now, not so much. You just have to invest in, something that sounds a little bit better. All right, let's see. Braden Pershing, what DAP IEM combo would you recommend for classic rock 80s metal? I currently only have first gen AirPod Pro, and I'm looking to upgrade. I don't have a particular price range. I love the channel. All right, well, Brandon, tell you what. So a DAP, it'll set you back about $500, and this is the Hibby R5 Gen 2. It's got Class A amplifier in it, plus a regular solid state amp. So you have enough power. Plus, you can change your tone when you go into Class A. It kind of adds a little bit of warmth to it. Overall, it's a very good, clean sounding DAP. Has good details and retrieval. It is Android based, so you can do all your Wi-Fi stuff. You can't make phone calls, but you can do everything else on it. And it's got a Hibby music player on it, so you'll be able to use um, any of those functionalities. As far as IEMs for metal and 80s rock, what was the other classic rock? Um, that's one of the things that I listen to. So, depending on price point, I really like the Moondrop Kato for like rock. It's got the mid bass a little bit humped, and so you get a nice body. There's enough sub bass there, but of course, those genres of music you don't get a ton of sub bass. You have more mid bass presence, and then it has just enough sparkle and energy up top to bring in your hi hats and the little thing, the bells, the chimes that those genres of music added in. And the vocals are very clean and clear and very detailed. And so those would play very well. And then if you happen to throw in some other genres of music randomly, the Kato will do a very good job of playing those as well. So I recommend that. If you want to step up and go higher up in price point, if you want to match the DAP in price, Zen's top from Mangard. So the Zen's Mangard top thing is insanely good. Love that thing, and it plays extremely well with metal and with rock of any kind, even differing genres, even more modern stuff or a little bit older. But you want to hear Metallica, Ozzy, Pantera, groups like that in their glory in the 80s and 90s, Zen's Mangard top will bring it out. Now that would be about $500. Um, so you would have $1,000 setup with those two. So that would be my suggestion. Plus, the Hibby's not very big, smaller than a phone, a little bit thicker though. All right, let's see. Uh, let's see. Recommendations for a mid um, alternative to the Edition X. I already have the Meze 99 Classic. Um, you want closed back or open? Um, if you want cheap but good quality sound, you could go with the Athena from Harmonic 9. If you want something a little bit more expensive and planar-ish, you could go with a Sundara. The newer version is a little bit less intense in its presentation, has a little bit more body to it and sounds a little bit better. The If you want to go dynamic, you go 660S, which will be a little bit more mellow. Not as mellow as the 99s. You can go 600, which would be more mid forward. There's a lot of different options. If you want, excuse me, wanted a semi close back, you could go Barodynamic 1770, um, 177X from Drop when they're available. Emu Teak would be another good one. T60 Argon would be, thank you for that comment. The T60 Argon would be a really good fit. T50 might be a little too bloated. They're harder hitting, but not as like detailed and open sounding. I like the 60 better. There you go. That should get you started. Lots of good suggestions in that area. That's a category that has all kinds of options depending on what sound signature you want. If you want bass, if you want treble, you want mids forward. There's all kinds of options with a lot of good selections in the $250 to $500 price points. Um, all right, let's see what else you got here. R2R on the Hibby as well. It sounds like my DJ days are spinning on records, organic sound, vinylly sound. Nice. I like R2R. In fact, I have an R2R right back here. I don't know if you can see it. Whoop, gotta move the microphone. Right here. Just below the K7 is the Hi-Fi-Man EF400. So that review will be coming. Be a little more patient on that one. That's going to take a little bit longer. Got a few other things in place in front of that, but liking the Hi-Fi-Man EF400, also the FIO K7. That review comes Tuesday. All right, let's see what else we got here. Give me a sec. Okay. I think people will continue to let the manufacturers know what they want, and everyone will keep evolving. At least you hope. Yeah, I think so. I mean, consumers do drive the market. So if there's a demand for it, manufacturers are going to continue to produce it. They're going to still try to enhance things. Um, but it does seem like right now dongles are exploding. And I think that because of the demand that people have just to listen to music portably is what's pushing the dongle thing. Also, people want to use them, when they're at the office. They don't want to take a whole setup, so you just plugging in a little dongle into your laptop works very well as well. So I think that's one reason why the dongles are kind of like blowing up right now, which is a good thing. All right, let's see. All right, sorry, my page just flipped here. I have to find my place again. Let's see, the Wii M Mini is a good budget streamer. Never heard of it. Um, Let's see. Tantrum Tanya is amazing for metal. Actually, yeah, I would agree with that. The because it drives. That's the thing about the Tanya is you can't listen to certain genres because it just has way too much of the mid bass and upper bass region that it overloads it on a lot of genres. But with metal, really hard hitting like bass type of genres of music, the Tanya does really fun. It's just a fun listen. I wouldn't say it's probably my go to for metal, but the Tanya does good for metal if you're looking for a cheap budget metal and you like the bullet style. IFI makes a good cheap streamer. Yes, it is the Neo IDSD Neo. I actually didn't use it much as a streamer when I had it in for review. I think they've revised it and made a signature version of it. They also make another one, which is more of just a straight up. I think it's called like the Uno or something. Haven't heard that one or the Blue. One of those. I can't remember. Um. Okay, so Hibby FC6 is the R2R model. All right, good to know. Let's see. Neo says he has the Tempo Tech HD. Is that Mark V? And it really adds a lot of fullness to the music on the Moondrop Aria. This is a considerable difference in sound. Interesting. That is one thing that the Arias do struggle with, especially with the mids. So that's good to know that it kind of adds in a little bit of fullness to the sound. Yes, you can alter sounds with different DACs and amps. Let's see. Hibby FC4 Moondrop Kato is crazy good. I absolutely agree. You're very welcome. Let's see. Super happy with these. Um, Praying that things will keep going well so you can afford the Zen Top. Well, let's continue to pray for you on that. Zen Top are amazing. 17.7X goes are a good closeback alternative to the Edition XX. Yeah, I would say so. A little bit different of presentation, if I remember correctly. Excuse me 1 minute. The 17.7X goes are going to be a little bit closed in comparison because they are closed back or semi closed back. They're going to have a little bit heavier hitting bass, a little bit more extension. Now, I haven't heard the XS, I've only heard the Edition X, but I'm just kind of going off of um, what I've heard from other people explain. And the 17.7X goes are going to have a little bit more detail and resolution, a little bit more sparkle and energy. I think they would they probably complement each other pretty well. Okay, let's see here. As a 109 Pros would definitely be an improvement for sure in that. Totally different price point, a little more expensive if you want to step up there, and dynamic. So it's going to have a little bit more natural tone and timbre to things. Definitely wide soundstage like the XS. Um, Lori, I have a terrible time with short nozzle IAMs. Me too. I have been using the KZ Starline silicone tips, and I invert them. I use them more than any other tip. Interesting. Starlines I use every now and then. Depending on the IEM and the way that they fit. If it's a really short nozzle, I do find that Final Type E's fit me usually a little bit better because they're a little bit longer and got that little conical shape on the end, kind of like a KZ Starline does. I there's another tip I'm trying to. CTM Flexi tips are the same. They're a little bit wider, not quite as tall as a Final Type E or KZ Starline. Those tend to work also with shorter nozzle type of IEMs. Um, let's see. Chef Steve uses the Qtlex 5K, and you're not into EQ. Well, good. No, using EQ is fine if you want to use EQ. 5K is interesting. I'm surprised that you don't use the EQ on that because that has all kinds of options for it. It's not bad sound. Very clean sounding. Let's see. Lori, if this old lady can invert them, anyone can. Merely a suggestion, and boy, are they comfortable. Interesting. Another one that I use that I just thought of is called ePro. They're like barrel shaped. They're kind of longer. They tend to be a little bit wider board, but they usually are a little bit longer and they fit very well. Pretty much will fit any IEM nozzle shape. Let's see. Dan Clark Aeon X Close is another good option in that price point for Brian to try for sure. Um, let's see. Yeah, smash the like button. That would be appreciated. Let's see here. Have you listened to the Chord Mojo 2? Have not yet. Um, heard the Mojo 1 a long time ago. I never got one in. It was fun to be a little bit warm and a little bit laid back. But it could have been the source I heard it on, as I heard it at audio shows. Wasn't a bad song. It wasn't like ugh or anything like that. I enjoyed it. It just wasn't something that like grabbed me and said you have to buy it. But I'm very curious about the Mojo 2 because I do say that that is a little bit different in the presentation. It's not quite as warm and thick sounding. Let's see. 17 7X goes. Good. Let's see. Electrostatic IEMs. There's not any real true ones that I have heard. All of them are some sort of quasi, quote unquote, ESTAT. Worth the price. Is there a good budget option? I currently own a pair of FIO FH5s and Tanzu Heydays. Those would complement each other. Those are totally different sounds. What would be a step up from these that won't break the bank? Okay, so FD5, or sorry, FH5, in the heyday. Steps up, you could go something different, which would be similar price, which would be Moondrop Kato. Um, you would get an all around sound, pretty similar technicalities compared to Heyday. As far as if you wanted the bass drive and stuff like that, could go. You could do planar. You could do like the S12 from Shure. Um, if you really want something that sounds similar to it or different, well, actually not similar, it's something different, you could go with the Kiwi Ears Orchestra Lite. That would be a step in the neutral direction. You still get some bass to it, not as much as a Heyday. Get better detail retrieval and resolution with the Orchestra Lite. And then if you really want the bass drive, Zen's Mangard T2 or the top probably would be where you would get on the same levels as the Heyday. And that comes to that. Those are what come to mind on top of my head. There's, I'm sure, others. Check out my tier list, and you might be able to check those out. All right, let's see. When you invert the Starline tip, it makes them longer. Well, that's good to know, and it probably widens out the end a little bit, I would think. Let's see, Chef Steve Stacks and Sure make some real electrostatic IEM, so make sure you fill your wallet first. Yeah, those are the only ones I can think of that are the legit electrostats. Everything else is something, like a piezo, or it's what's the other one's called? The electromagnetic. They're not true electrostat. It's kind of like when you have a square planar or a planamic versus a planar, and they kind of get lumped in together as being all planar. They're not. The square planar is like a planar as far as the strings and stuff with a dynamic ring. from what I understand. Planamic is kind of similar, more circular instead of squarish, those type of things. Um, Same thing with piezo and E-stat and electrostat and electromagnetics. They're all kind of in the same quote unquote family, but are different. Um, when is your secret EDM playlist release coming out? Well, um, don't listen to a ton of EDM. Do listen to some. I could probably put a playlist together at some point of various genres. Haven't really thought about it, but that might be a good suggestion to do sometime. Let's see. Thanks for the review of the Manger Top. Sounds amazing. Yes, it is. I noticed that the tips change a lot of the sound. Do you have any suggestions for some tips to try with it? I like stock tips. I didn't have any real issues there. Some tips I would try. Probably I would go with the Tri Clarion tip. Um, CTM Flexi. So that's CTM and then a Flexi tip. I would probably also try Final Type E and JVC Spiral Dots would probably be the ones at the top would do really well with. Um, but again, I listened with the stock ones, so I haven't really tried any others. Those would just be some that I would probably start off first with. Um, okay, so on my tier list, the 7 hertz 71 doesn't work. Okay, I'll look into that and get that fixed. Thanks for the heads up. Um, Electrostats belong at home in the quiet, so may as well get a desktop setup. That's very true. Um, very open sound. Very sensitive to dust and all that kind of stuff. So you gotta be careful what they're nearby and things like that. Hey, you're welcome, David or David. Excuse me. Um, all right, so let's start wrapping up here. If you have any final questions, drop them in. And I need to get running. I got some things to do this evening. I have to go back to church for one, and I have to do a couple other things around the house. So, final questions here, and we'll push them through and wrap up in a couple minutes. Let's see. You're using a 17 ohm impedance IEM with 108, or excuse me, 106 decibel sensitivity. When I connect it to my audio interface, I get a very low volume. What headphone amp would you recommend? Um, Sub $100. On my tier list, I do have a few amps. $100. I'm not reviewed a ton of them in that price point. You might be able to get away with a dongle, to be truthful, as long as it's something a little bit more powerful. Probably I would go with like a Sabage A10H. That amplifier is actually really solid. Has plenty of power. You shouldn't have any problems. It comes in around $75. Um, the Yeah, that would be the one I'd go with. The Sabage, the Sabage A10H. Unless you wanted to go with a dongle and run them balanced, that'd probably be the way that I would look at it. It's not That's not that hard of a IEM to drive. All right, so let's see here. I bought the Meze 109 Pros after watching your review. Thank you very much. FIO K7 is coming soon, and I'm gonna buy tonight the DQ6S and the 7 hertz 71. Awesome, you are headed on the right way. Curious to see what you think about some of those devices. K7 review coming soon. Let's see. Topping just released an electrostat energizer for it's $400. I did see it. I got notified by I think it was Opos that said it was coming. Be interesting to see. I don't have any electrostats to run on it, um, but might be a start for them. This is their first. If it's anything like their more later editions of amplifiers, it could be something good. and a more budget-friendly energizer for electrostats, because a lot of the better energizers tend to be rather pricey. You're very welcome, Sooth. Um, yeah, Sabage is a subsidiary of SMSL. Yes, they are. Let's see. I was thinking about the Kato, but are they as detailed as the Heyday? I listen mostly rock and classical. I just got the Athenas after seeing your review. Thanks. And I love them. Awesome. Athenas are awesome. Kato's pretty. Yeah, they're Kato and Heyday are pretty similar in detail, retrieval and resolution. Um, let's see. Last question. Any tips to try on the Kato? I like the Kato's the stock tips, but some people can't fit those very well. Soft Ears UC tips are really good. CTM Flexis are really good on it. Final Type E also are very good. The usuals that I recommend for the most part. Alrighty, I am going to wrap it up. That way I can go blow my nose and cough like crazy. Spin fits probably would be very good as well. But thank you all for the questions and comments and recommendations. I got some gear to look up. And I got to put together an EDM playlist, apparently. I might as well put together a metal playlist and a country playlist and a classical playlist and a rap playlist. That'll be a very short one. And all kinds of other things. So anyways, thank you all for swinging by. Appreciate it. And we'll do a live stream again sometime soon. You all have yourself a great afternoon for Sunday. If you are going to church tonight, enjoy the time with the Lord and have yourself a great evening. Bye-bye.